everybody. This is Shawn Morris with Truth, Lies, and Political Bullshit.
And this is Tim with the Fifth Ward. Hey, Shawn, we got a lot going this week, and let's get right into it.
So, Tim, I have never been so mad and truly sad at the same time when it comes to this darn city. You know, I invested a lot of my life into this city, a lot of time and effort to try to make Cohoes an all-America city once again. And, man, when we took over, the city was just it was just an old, run-down city full of empty storefronts and sidewalks where trees were growing up through the sidewalks and, grass and weeds all over the place. And we worked so hard. And within a few years, we had one of the most beautiful downtowns you could ever find in any old mill town. We were the talk of the town. Our city was booming. The sidewalks were new. We built a $2 million park. And yesterday, because I knew we were going to talk about the downtown revitalization step 2.
Yeah.
I wanted to go down and just look at some of the things that were happening in the city.
Yep.
So I decided I was going to go down to the Canal Square because the concerts are coming up on Thursday. And Timmy, when I tell you that 500 feet, I can't even say it, I'm so mad, 500 feet away from the mayor's window, we have a park that 3 years ago was probably the nicest downtown park in the capital region. And today, it is ruined.
With those musical instruments and stuff going.
Timmy, listen to me.
The CI stuff I see.
Listen, here's a picture I want to show you. Okay. Here's our instruments. All of them are ripped apart. There's no instruments left on the bottom off of those wires coming down.
Yeah, right.
And there was
destroyed and vandalized.
Destroyed and vandalized, but they also ripped like 6 of them right out of the ground.
Wow.
And there's a bunch of holes, and the grass is all ripped up, and the freaking weeds, Timmy, weeds. Take a look at those weeds growing. The place is trashed. It is trashed. But, we talked about this a couple of days ago about the where's the plaques for the Hall of Fame. So when we designed the park, there was a building behind the stage, right? It was a brown building.
Yeah, right.
And all the plaques were going to be put up on that building. Well, guess what, Timmy? Take a look at this building now. The whole entire building is scratched up with like knife marks and scratches throughout the whole building. Take a look at that mess. And on top of that, Timmy, somebody has either kicked it about 50 times and there's all these dents in it. And if you take a look at the stage handles, you can see them here. They skateboard down them. All of the paint's ripped off of them. And it's actually ruined. It is destroyed. Yeah. I found needle laying by the stage, all kinds of paraphernalia for drugs. I don't give a shit that smoking pot's legal, right? You know why? Because there's no smoking in city parks. That's the ordinance that was passed, the local law. So don't give me the shit. You can't go by and stop these kids. I went by and it was mobbed with people that were just ruining it, that didn't care. The plants that they planted haven't been watered. They're all dead in buckets. The weeds are everywhere. There's cigarette butts everywhere. There's beer cans. Timmy, I was heartbroken. The amount of effort that went into building that park, not just by me, but by so many people.
They're even doing $10 haircuts in that park. $10 haircut.
I was so mad. Does this guy not care? Is this guy just like a moron that just sits in his freaking office and doesn't he walk over to the park? Doesn't he walk to the downtown? Doesn't he drive by the city on his way down from his house and see all of the shit and garbage and weeds all over the place? I went from one end to Ransom Street to the other end of Ransom Street, and it was just a shithole.
Yeah.
$2 million, $3 million in sidewalks, weeds growing everywhere. Yeah. Fire hydrants with the fire hydrant markers bent. It looks like downtown Bronx, for Christ's sake. It was a disgrace.
Pigsty.
It was a disgrace.
It's just a pigsty now.
And when I seen all of the dents kicked into the walls, I said, does this guy not walk over there and care?
He doesn't.
And over across the street by the bank, there's these nice, beautiful beds that you plant flowers, right? I want you to go to my page. Go to my Facebook page if you're a friend of mine. You'll see how we used to keep that park and all of the flower beds taken care of.
There were
The
even
weeds are all
people.
over the place.
Weren't there even people sponsoring those beds and
At this
had a
time,
little
no, we
sign
just
there?
kept them up. I used to go
Right.
outside with the people in the office, and
Yep.
we would keep them up.
Yeah.
I'd go over on Thursday, the morning of Thursdays, and pick all the weeds out of the freaking sidewalk. When people came to the city, they needed to know that we were not just an old mill town, but we were an up and coming, soon to be all America city once again.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, we've gone backwards as far back as you can go. That park has no pride. When you look at it, you don't go, wow, anymore. You go, holy
No.
shit, it's kicked. The dents are in it. The weeds are growing all over. Now, people will go there, watch the concerts, and have fun and leave.
Yeah.
But the people that live here, the administration should be looking at that with sadness. You know why it's like that, Tim? There's no cops downtown.
And they don't care. They're not on. They just don't care. It's
Nobody's
not the cop. It's not the cops. Okay?
No, but
It's
the cops should be walking the beat. We
They
have
should
police chiefs that should say, chief, or the mayor be saying to the police chief, I want somebody walking up and down the street like I did. You can't stop the problem if you don't have prevention.
Yeah.
When we built
agree
that
with
park,
Yeah, that's
and
true.
I was meeting with department heads, I said, look, we know that if we build it, they'll destroy it. We have to be better than them. We need to be ahead of them. We need to let them know that every time people are in the park, we're going to be holding them responsible. If you were kicking that park, I'd arrest you and bring you to court and make you pick the weeds out of the goddamn thing.
Well,
Nothing
you know,
goes on. I was there for 2 hours.
Right.
I talked to 3 people laying on the bench across the street. One of the guys says, man, what a mess down here, huh? I go, how often you here? He goes, well, unfortunately, I'm always here. And he's just, you could tell the guy was homeless.
Yeah.
But he said, I was trying to figure out who owned the bank, the old bank, because I can cut all those weeds because it's disgusting. And this is a homeless man saying how bad the city looks and how bad the parks look.
Yeah.
It was just, and then I go in front of the music hall, the music hall that's getting $1 million worth of windows, and there's weeds growing out of all of the tree beds.
Right.
Nobody's taking care of nothing.
Right. Yeah.
And now they're worried about.
Just got to go down and see it.
Then they're talking about White Street, the pocket park. That wasn't their idea. That was our idea, right? But that's when we were taking care of everything. Now they're going to build another park, and it's just going to be filled with garbage and shit because they don't even take care of a $3 million gem in the heart of their downtown.
It's just going to be another drug hangout when it's done.
It is just, it is, Timmy.
It's awful.
I would encourage people who watch this show that don't believe anything we say to get off your lazy ass and go take a walk down that downtown and look at that park and then go cheer for your cheerleading expedition with your buddy, the mayor, and see what you're cheering about because it's a goddamn pig mess.
Yeah.
And it's ruined. And I can get away
down
with,
there, yeah.
I can be okay with weeds because you can cut them down. Maybe they're like, hey, we're going to start doing that next week. But all of the music instruments ruined. The Hall of Fame wall all dented up and scratched up and ruined.
And they didn't even put the plaques up anyway. If they did, they'd probably be vandalized as well.
Because there's nobody there to watch them. Nobody cares. Yeah. Nobody cares. The old people across the street said nobody cares about it. Yeah. What a shame.
It is. I mean, that was supposed to be really the jewel to attract everybody in the Cohoes. And I think it's underutilized anyway. I mean, you do 8 concerts and that's it. We should use it for more things. But
you're right.
They're lazy. They're lazy and lazy, and it's a shame because the window of time that it's available, just 2 months, pretty much a window of time. Okay, we just underutilize it, and it's a shame. You talk to the businesses right nearby, right? They're telling you it's drugs, dogs pooping all over the place, $10 haircuts all over the place. I mean, this is what's going on down there.
You're 500 feet away from the park looking out the mayor's window. Get out of your freaking chair. Take 5 minutes to find some pride. Walk over there and say, holy shit, we got to do something about this. He sees it. He drives by these places every day. He's either a moron or he doesn't care or he's lazy or he has no pride. I don't give a shit if people say you don't like him because he beat you. No, I don't care that he beat me. What I care about is that after he beat me, he kept the place the way we left it. Spick and span, beautiful downtown, full of businesses, full of opportunity, full of concerts and plays, and the music hall was booming. Everything was booming. And you just let a bunch of kids wreck it?
Yeah, he did.
And you don't care? And you don't see it, or you pretend you don't see it? What do you do all day?
Well,
that's
look
my
at
rant,
that.
Tim.
Well, you know what? Even last year, when we had a real hot time period in May, okay, it was really the weekend before you could open up Lansing Pool. It was somewhere in the mid 90s or something like that. But we didn't plan ahead and say, hey, is it possible if we have a real hot spell, can we get that pool up and running? So we had to really, we went through a weekend that we really could have opened down up if we had things in place. It's probably administrative difficult to do because you got to bring lifeguards in and all that
There's a
stuff.
lot of things that are
But
difficult to do. That's why they elect great leaders. Great leaders
you,
get things
you know,
done when nobody else can,
you
Tim.
know, you got the problem that I see is there is no can do attitude. And look and I don't just blame him. I blame the council too. These people here, they drive around, they see it, and where do they pipe up
Timmy,
at
first of
council
all,
meetings?
let's just be honest. The
No,
council's nothing more than a paper tiger. They don't do nothing because that's not their job, right? Their job is to get the budget passed and then be the representative for your part of the city and bring the problems and stuff that you need for your people back to the city hall and let the mayor know what the problems are. He's the administrator. They're not administrators, they're legislators.
yeah,
The administration is the one who's in charge of this city. He's
and
the
they
one
can,
who directs his workforce. He's the one who decides what projects get done. He's the one who decides where they go on a given day. I want this done. I need this done. I have to have
yeah,
that done. They want this done. That
yes,
he's the leader. The
yes.
council isn't. The council doesn't. The council is a bunch of paper tigers. And that's how government's set up. Legislative branches do legislative work, and administrators do administrative work. You don't hire a council to have 6 mayors. You hire one
Well,
mayor to run the city.
Well, I believe that these guys should actually show some pride in it too, and go and come up to the mayor and saying, "Look, the
I
place
agree
looks
with
like
you.
a shithole."
I
That's what
agree
I'm
with you
saying.
there. I'm
Okay,
not saying
where
that. I'm
I mean, this is the second ward. Where the hell is Don Russell?
well, you
Okay,
know where he is.
he wants everybody to go patronize his businesses on Remsen Street, but on the end where he doesn't have a business, he's perfectly content with letting it be a shithole.
I agree with you that they should be advocating for a cleaner, better city,
That's what I'm
right?
saying. Yes,
They should be advocating. They can't get it done. I mean, they can say, "Hey, we're going to go over and sweep up and pick weeds." We used to do that,
yeah, but they
but you're
won't
going to
do it.
tell me that this guy doesn't see this freaking mess? He drives down
Yep.
Bedford Street every day. There's weeds growing all over the place.
Yeah, that's true. I see him too.
Listen, every morning, 6 o'clock, drive the whole city like I did. Write down the places that look like they need to be addressed. And then you go to DPW and say, I want this shit addressed. Spend more time addressing the problems rather than trying to suspend everybody for 45 freaking days and take away their livelihood because they don't do what you say exactly when you want it done, or they realize what you're saying is a bunch of moron shit and they try to question you, and then you write them up and suspend them. They spend more time suspending people than they do certainly in Canal Square Park picking the weeds and making sure that
Yeah,
all the stuff's not being destroyed and broken.
yeah, right. And I'm going to
That's what we
go on
have
up.
today.
Yeah, what you got is you got Steve Hennessy, DBW. He's a childish. Okay, he acts like a little girl. Okay, and then you got Killer backing him on up. I'm going to tell you, these people, they're not people persons. Okay, they don't know how to treat people good. All right,
Listen, you
they're
you
just they don't know how to manage
let's
people.
just say you don't know how to treat people good. There's a
Eh,
lot of great leaders in the world, the great smart people who weren't the greatest at, personal communication, right?
Yeah,
But they were smart enough to know when the weeds were too high. They're smart enough to know when somebody just went over to your $2 million park and kicked 40 dents into the back wall. Or kids are skateboarding down the freaking railings and ripped off
yeah.
all the paint and they're skateboarding across the new concrete wall and they're breaking off pieces of concrete. This is a park that took 50 years, Timmy, and
Yeah.
millions of dollars and a lot of work to get fixed, to bring it into the city, to become an all-American city once again, to be proud, to be Cohoes proud. We are not Cohoes proud. We are Cohoes not proud.
All you got to do is go back 3 years ago and remember the shitty looking fountain that was there.
Listen,
Okay,
I used to
Okay, I
dream
mean,
about it at night and say, I can't wait to
yeah,
fix this park.
yeah, and and you got once you got rid of the fountain, and we built a nice stage and a nice area. People flocked there. I mean, there was thousands of people down there for Rock the Block, and now when they go on up there, they're going to see the difference. You're going to
Tim,
see what it is the neglect.
on the Shawn Moore, on my, if you're a friend of me on Facebook, just go to my page because there's about 40 pictures. It starts on one end of Ransom Street and goes all the way down. If you're not embarrassed by what you see, if you don't look at that and say, whoever's leading our city has decided not to lead, whoever is
Yeah,
supposed to be in charge ain't in charge, or they just
yeah,
don't care. They're either a moron or they don't care. Or maybe they're both. Maybe they're morons that don't care. I'm
yeah,
not sure what it is. But I can't imagine with any kind of pride wanting to say, I'm the boss of this city. I'm the mayor of this city. Take a look at it. You ought to be
yeah.
ashamed of yourself. The
Well,
guy, I see the guy walking the streets. You know what he is? He's like big freaking lurch, never puts his head up, looks at his feet, must walk by all of these weeds that are 10 foot tall and pretend he doesn't see them.
Well, you got to keep in mind one of the first things he did when he came into office was take down all of the Cohoes Pride signs,
Yeah.
including the gateway
Check
signs.
down all the
Okay.
beautiful gateway signs and then have
Yeah,
everybody up there making sure his property looks good and the weeds ain't growing in his property and taking care of his shit,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But he's got nothing going on. And I am mad. I'm mad and
Yeah,
I'm hurt because think
yeah,
about spending 3 years of your life around the clock trying to get things done. And then you see somebody who's a moron, somebody who says, I'm ready to take the city and hit the ground running.
yeah,
Running where? Running to the city hall for 15 minutes and then going home? Because nobody's doing the job. Nobody's working. Nobody's taking care and building the pride. Pride doesn't just happen, right?
yeah. Well,
Enthusiasm's not taught, it's caught. You got to be enthusiastic as the
yeah,
leader and get
yeah,
everybody else to be enthusiastic and get the people enthusiastic. You just can't say, oh, I don't see it. I'll turn a blind eye. Please go look at the pictures. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe Timmy. Go look at the freaking pictures or take a ride yourself. And if you don't see the stuff that's happening, or better yet, the stuff that's not happening, then I don't know what to tell you. Then maybe I'm the moron because I'm
well,
the one getting upset because I just can't believe that all of the hard work that we put in has been destroyed. And that's
yeah.
all. That's my rant for the day, and it just really irks me.
So we
But
tell people go on down there, take a look at it there, and see for yourself. You really need to start sending messages and putting the word on out to get it down at City Hall. And I had an email problem with Adam Biggs that got resolved. They had the city's filter had me blocked out. Now I can get through to him there, and I'll be tasking Adam with quite a few things here in the future. And if he doesn't get it done, okay, he's going to hear about it on the podcast. Okay, so
well, the
look at.
bottom line is that it's almost like these people just don't care.
Yep.
It's disheartening. So anyway, Timmy, let's get the podcast started for what we were going to talk about. Okay, so
Well, we
congratulations.
got
This
two,
Go ahead.
right. Yeah, we're going to talk here. One is we have a 12 member panel. We want to talk about that revitalization committee, and we also want to talk about a new EMS task force. But before that, I wanted to say congratulations to the Cohoes girls lacrosse team up there, winning the Colonial Council.
Yeah,
Okay, and
congratulations. Wonderful.
you
Awesome.
right, and I'd like to see the high school. I mean, the boys' baseball team did really good. They were playing in the section two games and like that. But I go into the school district website and look at the athletics tabs, and there's no information there. You have to go to Twitter if you want to find out what's going on with the kids. I'd like to see more of what our kids are doing on the good side of things, sports, athletics, and stuff like that. So when I can, I'm going to post it up on my page. Okay. Anyway,
Well, listen,
where you
I,
want to go
I
next?
congratulate I congratulate the kids too, man.
Yeah,
Our athletics is second to none. We're a small little city, man, but we're always in the fight. We're always in
we
the
are.
game,
That's
and
right.
congratulations, man. And there was a whole bunch of kids who just signed letters of intent to go on and play sports in college. So to all those kids,
Yep.
congratulations. I seen that on Facebook. Keith
Yep. Good for
Hancock,
them.
his son, and there were
Yeah,
several other
Bryce.
people. Yeah, I'll put their names up at the end of the podcast so that we can congratulate them
I
all.
have it up on my page as well. But there's
Yeah,
also these were, I think, honor students, right, or something like that.
well,
Um,
I know there were
Scout,
kids that signed a letter of intent to go play college
yeah.
sports,
But right, but
so
for all the kids that didn't, that did play, hats off to those kids
yeah,
too.
all the kids, everybody who's out
All of
there,
them.
look at everybody makes a difference, and
Yep.
sports is a great place to keep yourself out of trouble, learn about teamwork, learn about the ups and downs, learn to be happy, learn to be sad.
Hey,
Sports has always been
yeah,
the key for me, and I believe so many other kids. But we
yeah,
are
a
a
lot of
small little
social
city.
benefit. A lot of
Yeah, we're
social benefit putting on that uniform, cheering for others, having others cheer for you. I mean, I fully support all of the kids playing all the sports. Good for them.
Yeah, so congratulations. Let me just move on, Timmy, to
Yep.
this $10 million, right? Because I think
Yeah.
there's a misnomer for people, right? I think people think the city won $10 million, the state gives them a check, and then they just spend the money the way they want to and revitalize the downtown, and that's not even close to how it works, right?
Yeah.
In
That's
order
right.
to apply for this money, it was a contest. It was one of those Governor Cuomo, bow down to me. Everybody's got to kiss my ring. And instead of just giving money to cities to try to be get themselves back into the new age and cleaned up and get revitalized, he made everybody beg him for the money. So he made these contests, which I thought was probably a great example of why New York State is a shithole and it's failing at every corner. But
Yeah.
that's the process. So we applied for that process 3 times, and we didn't
Finally,
win. Yeah, we
right.
didn't win. But I will tell you, we weren't going to win because John McDonald didn't want me to win. Neil Breslin didn't want me to win. And
Yeah.
when you don't have those guys on your side, you're not going to win, right?
Yeah.
Of course, they didn't want me to
Yeah.
come in and win $10 million and revitalize what these guys couldn't do in this city for the whole time they were here.
Yeah.
But we did it
Exactly.
with our own money and smaller grants. But um, here's how the process works. And I think it's very important for people to understand. So you fill out an application, okay? You put forth a bunch of the projects that you are going to work on in the downtown. The government and whoever the bureaucracy is that looks at these applications, choose which one is going to be, the best one for their downtown and the capital region. And if you're lucky enough to win, you get the 10 million bucks, right? So as you know, Cohoes wins. Here is the major problem. And I'll just give you an example. Um, one of the projects is called the Historical New Building, and the project is a mixed use building on 60 Remsen Street, which is down by the fire. And it's a $4.7 million project. Okay. Out of the $4.7 million, the grant, the $10 million, and the portion thereof that's going to that project is 300,000.
Now that was where we had the big fire right down there across from pretty much Rizzo's Flowers by the old power thing. Is that the area you're talking about?
It's no, I don't think the 60 is down there. I think
Okay.
let me see what this says here. It says the new building designated to match the historical nature of the surrounding architect places a metal, and I can't read it because it's all blurred out. Blah blah blah. Next to the Cohoes Music Hall.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So somewhere along the line, across the street, probably the John Nolan building is what I was
Yeah.
assuming. Um, they're going to turn that into like this utopia of buildings.
Okay.
Beautiful project. Do you think right now, talking about what we just talked about, how the city is falling apart, how it's neglected, how the millions of dollars that we invested are basically just ruined? Do you think somebody's going to spend $4.7 million to build a building across the street from the music hall?
Yeah, you're going to need some investor to come in and do
Yeah.
that,
So do
right?
you think some
Right.
investors are
So
going to come
no,
drop 5 million?
no, no. There's,
So the chances are that project will never happen, and that money for that project will never get to the city
right.
of Cohoes because there'll be no project. And again, it's just a paper tiger.
Yeah, it's just a pipe dream.
Um, then you have the food circus. I call it the food circus. I don't know. It's the Nolan building over um, on the corner of Ontario and just what is it? Food Circus. What is the name of his building? The
Spindle
supermarket.
City. Is it Spindle
Spindle
City?
City. There you go.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Spindle
You see,
City.
I'm
Yeah,
aging myself when I say Food Circus, right?
yeah.
4.75 million dollar project.
Where are they gonna? Yeah, where are they gonna
They're
get
going
the
to get
money for that?
950,000. That means Nolan is going to have to come up with almost 3.7 million dollars.
Yeah.
You think he's got 3.7 million dollars to invest in the city where right now the new development that I put in is struggling to get even close to market rate because the city's falling apart? When I talk to people, they're saying, hey, our rents are going down 30%. People don't want to move here no more. 3 years ago, we couldn't build enough places for people with money to move. So do you think that's going to happen? I don't. I don't see him spending $4 million.
I don't see it either. Nope.
Bonaquistis, one of the best group of people you'll ever meet in your life. We worked with the Bonaquistis, and they took over the drug-infested, rat-infested Cohoes Hotel. You remember the
Right.
Cohoes
Yeah. Yeah.
Hotel?
Yep. Yep.
I
That
can
was
tell you
all.
that I was a firefighter. I went into that building on an EMS call, and I started getting dizzy. And I thought like I was moving around like this, Tim. And there was a guy laying on the floor who overdosed. And you know what it was? It was 10,000 bugs running across scattering across the floor. And I thought the floor was moving. It was the most disgusting thing. I called my uncle George Primo, who was the mayor, and I was a county legislature, and I screamed that shut this freaking building down. Nobody, regardless of their income, whether they're drug addicts, didn't matter what they are in life, they don't deserve to live in a shithole with so many bugs that it looks like the floor's moving. And my uncle immediately acted, and the place got shut down. We went to the Bonaquistis brothers, Mike Jacobson, myself. We had these conversations. We got them to invest. They spent millions of dollars in phase one of that hotel. Beautiful market rate, gorgeous apartments. And there's a phase two to that. And the phase two to that is $4.25 million.
Where are they going to come up with?
4.25. And
Yeah.
they're going to get 850,000 from the grant. I will tell you, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but the Bonaquistis are not the dumbest guys in the world.
Yeah.
And I can't see them investing $4 million into phase two of a street, on a street, of a street,
That's
in the
dead.
street, that is such a pigsty that they'll never get their money back.
And it's dead. It's dead.
And
mean,
so I don't see that happening either.
Even the businesses. Okay, some of the businesses there, they tell me it's a ghost town. It's dead.
It's
It's
dead.
dead. It's dead.
So now you kind of understand, people, how this process works, right? You put in for the money. The money is part of a bunch of different projects. The only projects that I imagine that will get off the ground are the projects that the government itself has set aside money to do the project. So, for example, if Steve Napier gets his downtown music piped through Ransom Street, and it sounds like your freaking dentist office all day long, and you're ready to freaking just put earplugs in, and the city's paying 40,000 and the grant gives them 50,000 or whatever it is, that will get done because there's money by the government who's not afraid to waste your money. And so that project will get done. A project that's 2, 3, 4 million, it ain't happening. And I'll come back on this show a year and a half from now and say, geez, did you notice nothing's got done? The $10 million was wasted. The $10 million should have came when we were kicking ass and building this city to become an all-America city once again, right? When we had opportunity. But that opportunity was held up because you think John McDonnell and Neil Breslin, who hated my guts, were going to let me be successful? Absolutely not. No. So now you got $10 million. It's given to a bunch of morons running the city. You got an economic development guy that doesn't even know what that means. And now let's go into this. The city decides they're going to put together a committee. Right. A committee for economic development and shaping the downtown.
Right. It's 12 people. 12
now,
people.
I read the list of those people, and I will tell you this. The ones that I know, I'm very fond of. Good people.
Yeah.
Good Cohosiers. Some of them I don't know. But what I do know is, if I asked every single one of them for their resume, that had some kind of expertise in economic development, community development, some kind of logistics, something that has to do with urban renewal. Um,
On a big
you
scale,
would
too,
find
we're
out
talking.
none of them
Yeah.
have anything in their resume that says that.
Yeah.
So let's read off. You have the names, Tim.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
Read off the
actually.
names.
Okay, so look at basically Mayor Keeler is on this list, and
Now,
look
there's
at
the
and
first one that don't know shit.
that's right. Look at and I don't hold any of these people in
No,
contempt or
no, I
anything
think they're
like that.
great people,
They're
and
good people. They volunteer, but you know what? We need people that know this stuff, and it's questionable whether they do. But look at they've been chosen. They're the chosen ones. So we're going to just throw their names on out there. You got Lauren Payne. Now she works with Spiral Design. There, that's they designing websites
they're a website
and other
designing
things.
company,
There,
and I
this
went to them.
yeah.
As you say each name, give me a chance to just respond.
Sure, sure. So you got Lauren Payne with Spiral Design. You
Right.
know her, so
So I don't know her personally, but when I was the mayor and we needed a new website,
yeah,
unfortunately they charged so much we couldn't even afford to buy it because they do fantastic work.
yeah, yeah.
But again, now they build websites.
Right.
Anything to do with building cities, economic
No,
development,
no,
urban
not really.
renewal,
They're printers,
printers.
and
Thank you.
they printed some signs, I believe, or whatever for holiday huts, but
I
I
think
could
they
be
have
wrong on
great.
that.
I love the company. I think they're
Yeah,
fantastic. I'm glad they're in Cohoes, and I
you know,
hats off to them. But
you know.
no knowledge of economic development.
Now the next one is Rod Dion. He's on the Cohoes IDA. He also has the Business Tech Valley office.
Okay,
Okay,
so I'm the one who put Ron Dion on the IDA.
it's Rod, right? Yeah.
Yes, Rod is the guy that I put on
Hmm.
as one of the members, and he is fantastic in his ability to understand the process and move the people around and try to get people on board and sell the projects,
Yeah.
and he owns his own company. I'll give him a little bit of kudos because at least for the last several years he's worked with the Mike Jacobsons, he worked with me, we
Yeah.
got a lot of stuff done, he got things passed through. So I'll give him some kudos because he has some knowledge.
So we have something going for us there. Barbara Hildreth, she's a retired teacher. She's also, I believe, on the CLDC,
So
Cohoes
Barbara
Local
Hildreth was a
Development.
retired principal, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Right, right, yeah,
And I love her. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful
yeah,
woman. And she sat on the LDC board.
right.
The LDC doesn't know anything about economic development, right?
No,
They are a board just like a city council. You know, the mayor or people come before them,
yeah,
present them with expertise plans and projects and ideas, and they look them over and then they support them through a vote. I don't think Barbara, and I hope she doesn't get mad at me because I don't say this in any negative way because I love the
no,
woman,
no,
um, but she doesn't have any experience in rebuilding a city. She doesn't know anything about economic development. I don't think she knows anything about urban renewal.
or
I don't think she knows
revitalize. Yeah,
anything about any of those things that are required. She doesn't planning anything that it takes when you're designing a city.
yeah.
And so why I appreciate her being on there. Again, I don't see the expertise that she has, but
That's beneficial for the project. And then look at
she's been put on.
right. And then now I have I don't know this person, Glenda Kelman. It's like
Got to be
nursing out
related
of
to the
Sage
Kelmans,
College.
right?
I would think so. Nursing out of Sage College is
So
from
we
as
got a
best I
nurse.
know.
We have a nurse now who's going to help design a city. That's
Yeah,
like asking the plumber to come to your house to fix your outlet.
yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Joe Nato.
Joe Netto, I
Okay.
like Joe. Joe's a project manager. I think he was a
Yeah,
project
does
manager. He was in
construction and stuff like
construction.
that.
So
Yeah,
he's got a value of being able to say, if projects are being built, I can help you determine whether they're being built correctly, whether they're on time, whether they're getting done right, whether they're following the proper, plans, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a value for Joe. So I'll give him a check mark.
okay, so let's moving on. Is I may get the name wrong here. It's Barb or Orbiconde or something like Orbiconda.
No
Okay,
idea.
and Barb, she's in healthcare.
Great. So now we got a nurse and we got another lady in healthcare, and they're going to design your downtown. Um, and they have no idea what economic development is, what planning is. But again, this is the kind of committee that you get when you don't want nobody to really have any input, or their input is going to have really a lot less value.
Yeah.
Ask yourself this question: if you had to go to court tomorrow for a speeding ticket, would you want your lawyer to go with you? One that has a law degree that understands the laws and the rules? Or would you want, um,
A nurse.
yeah, the nurse to go with you and she's going to represent you in your ticket? And vice versa.
Yeah, yeah,
If you got to go to the hospital, do you want the lawyer putting the catheter in you?
yeah,
Or do
yeah,
you want the nurse, right?
yeah,
Because it's a pretty delicate process, and you want to make sure somebody's done it before and understands how to do it,
yeah.
and they do it right.
Well,
Um,
let's move on to the next name here. Owen Smith,
Owen
entertainment.
Smith runs
Uh,
the music hall. I like
yeah,
Owen. I like him a lot.
yeah.
Don't believe for one second.
Good guy.
Yeah, good guy. Park Playhouse, premier kids play organization, top notch, number one. He's running our music hall,
Yeah.
but I don't see the value of him in way of understanding economic development and rebuilding the city. I think that
Unless,
he can have a role after it's done to talk to him about how we get people to the downtown and how do
hmm
we promote special events in the city. I think he has a great
yeah.
value there, but economic development, I don't see it unless he's got a degree I don't know about. I can't give him a check mark. I'll give him a pat
Okay.
on the back and a hug. I love him, but for this particular role, I don't see the value.
Well, Cohoes High School principal Laura Darlow,
I love
sh
Laura Tarlow. She was
she's
if
a great gal. She has like a home restoration business,
no, they build
but
houses.
you know,
They build
so
houses, and they built her and
yeah,
her brother beautiful
yeah,
houses. Great
yeah,
family. I love the family. They're
yep.
the Pages. They're staples in the
Tony,
city.
yeah, Tony's
Um,
daughter.
but I don't know what being a home builder has to do. Matter of fact, it's a great example because I know a lot about economic development. I think you can believe that I do. We built the
Yeah,
city, right? I spent a lot of
yeah,
time in trying to understand it in the last 20 years being involved in it and in the county.
yeah.
But I wouldn't know how to build a house. So she wouldn't
And
want me to be her builder.
well, this would be commercial anyway down there.
Well, not everything.
Yeah,
There may be well, I guess most of it would be, but there's little projects. I don't know all the projects they put in, but the reality is this:
yeah,
she's a wonderful girl. If it wasn't for her, my daughter never would have graduated. I
yep.
would consider her my friend. I would do anything in the world for her and her brother and her father and her mother. But I don't see the correlation between saying I build homes and I know how to build cities, or I know economic development, or I know urban renewal, or I know, planning. So I guess there's a little bit of value there because she does build things,
Yep.
but I'll give her a 50-50, but I'm not so sure that she has the knowledge and the education um, to understand economic development when it comes to getting these buildings done and these plans done and
hmm
strategically building a city, which is a whole nother issue.
Yep. So we've got Caitlin Tabordo with the clergy.
Yeah, so maybe she's going to be on the committee to say a prayer when everybody gets the thing screwed up because none of them know anything about economic development. But I think she's a wonderful woman. You can't
Yeah,
say nothing bad about a pastor, right?
yeah.
She's got a church. She does great work. She does great outreach. She takes care of a lot of people. She's a wonderful, wonderful person. But what does your pastor have to do with building economic development?
Yeah. Okay. And let me move on. We got look at it's Renee Turner, I believe. She runs Nellie's Treats, I
Yeah.
believe.
So again, you're asking a girl that's an expert in baking cookies and cakes and running a great little business. You're asking her to take part in building a whole entire city. No knowledge, no experience, and I don't see the value of putting her on the economic development committee that's going to make the decisions for the future of the city. Now, I could see a lot of these people having values for other things. Matter of fact, I know they have values for other things. Maybe if you had a small business committee to look at small business in the city and the successes they have and the struggles they have and how we can improve the small business district and improve businesses, I think they have great value. If we're
Yeah.
talking about designing parts of the city for new residential um, uh, projects, I think Laura Tarlow and them are top notch. But we're talking about building a downtown, economic development, planning, parking, uh, pedestrian capacity. There's a whole bunch of things that go into it that I guarantee you that they've never done before. So I don't know that girl. I've never even been in her store. I'm going to have to stop in and try it. But I don't see the value when it comes to economic development.
So we got Ben Williams, who is with
Don't know.
the Cohoes Connect. That's all those youth projects. That's across from the old Saint Agnes
So
Church. It's
listen,
part of.
his father was the greatest pastor. He was the most beautiful man. They were building a youth project up into the church to help kids. I mean, again, you got a pastor who owns a church, who knows a lot of stuff about being a pastor.
Yep.
But what does he know about economic development? Unless, and again, for all these people, I'll stand corrected if they've worked in the field, have education in the field that I don't know about. But based on where they're coming from the newspaper and what they do for a living, I don't see the value.
Okay, and look at I think what is most interesting there. We went through 12 names here. What's not on this list is our economic director, Stephen Napier.
Well, of course,
Completely
yay! I think you should applaud the fact that he's not on there because here's a
completely
guy.
omitted. Now, what's that say about him?
Well, it says that the shit shacks were his shining example of his failures.
They don't want to build shit shacks on the near Columbia Street. Okay.
Let's put this into perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, ready? Let's put this
Yeah.
into perspective. Steve
Sure.
Napier, Economic Development Director,
Has no idea
in
what
charge
he's doing.
of designing, building, getting people to the city, all of the things that's necessary for economic development. And it's not one dimensional; it's 3-dimensional to take place in the city.
Yeah. Yeah.
He has failed miserably, hasn't he?
It certainly has.
And you know
Can't
why
even
he's
get
failed
on.
miserably?
Yeah.
He
Because
fails
he
miserably
doesn't know what
because,
he's doing.
well, he's got no education. He's got he's got nothing in the way of economic development in his life. He's never worked in economic development. He doesn't know about economic development. He didn't have no education in it. He's never worked under nobody. No place in the country would he ever be hired to be the director.
No,
Maybe he could get hired to work as in the office and learn the skill. But right now, he don't deserve to be.
Right.
And so he's a glowing example of what happens when you put a bunch of people or somebody in charge that doesn't know what they're doing. So what does it say about the commission as a whole?
Yeah,
They
won't
don't
even
know.
they won't even put the economic director
No. And
on
it's
this
unfair.
commission of 12 people. No,
It's unfair to all the people they put on there and ask them to engage in a process on something they don't know. I give them a lot of credit for saying, "Hey,
Yeah.
we'll try, we'll come and
Yeah.
do it." But if I was the mayor of the city, that would not be the people that I would ask to help me design and build a downtown. Now, I would have some business people on it, but they would be an ancillary commission, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'd have the people who understand economic development. I'd have finance people. I would have people who deal in commercial real estate. I would have people that understand designing urban spaces. I'd have people that understood all of the things that go in economic development in the aggregate.
Sure, and you can go outside the city to get these people too if you need.
Sure, you could. And Timmy, we had committees that were subcommittees. When we designed, let me give you an example. When we got money to design the city's plan, the city's comprehensive plan about how the city's going to work and how the future of the city, all that good stuff, right?
Yeah.
It was a comprehensive plan. What we did is we went out and got college kids who were in college for planning and architect and finance and a whole bunch of other things. And the curriculum they were in was urban planning and economic development, right?
Yep.
And we brought that school of kids to this city with their teacher. And part of the project was they were helping us build and put together our comprehensive plan. And then we had subcommittees, and those subcommittees were business owners, right?
Yeah.
People who had a vested stake in what the outcome was for them in their business. Should we do certain things? For example, we were trying to figure out how to put sidewalks in that had bump outs so that restaurants could put tables outside and they could have outside dining.
Yes.
We had people who designed the different type of plants and trees and landscape that made it conducive to having a nice environment, right?
Right.
But
Those
one that
trees.
also didn't draw bugs. And there was
Right.
a whole bunch of stuff that you don't even think about.
Yeah, these trees that we have on Remsen Street, they were designed or selected based on how they grow. So
They
they,
were. And
you know,
unfortunately, they were also required to be pruned and
yeah,
taken care of. And the city's done nothing.
yeah,
Nothing. Some of them are snapped in half. I went down to get a haircut. The branches are broken. They've been like that for months. Nobody's done anything. But that's what we did. We brought in a whole bunch of people and we put them in their expertise, in their area of expertise,
yeah,
including teachers and educators. Because if we were going to, when we were building in our city, we wanted to make sure that we didn't overload the school district with kids that they couldn't take care of. There wasn't enough teachers, enough classroom space. So they all had a value, but they fit into the pigeonhole for which they were experts. What we just did is through a whole bunch of people that have expertise in a lot of different pigeonholes that offer and bring a lot of value to our city. The Lower Tarlows, right? One of the best principals I've ever met.
Yep.
Who cares about kids, and when you're building and designing buildings and schools and all that, you want to make sure that as you talk about the economic development part, you talk about the impact of the economic development and way of schools. And you would be meeting with her after you've already planned this and make sure that when you're planning the second phase of it, which was the people moving in and how many people were going to live here, they were all part of sharing their expertise with us, right?
Yep.
And so they all have a fantastic value when you place them in the pigeonhole for where they are experts.
Okay, look at. I want to move on to another committee that's been formed here. Okay, and it's called the EMS Task Force. Now, we've been beating all about the ambulance and problems like that, and that's not what this is about. What this is about is that they finally decided that Adam Biggs decided as the chair of the Public Safety Committee on the council, we're going to put together a task force, which got approved by a resolution by the whole Common Council. And what they did is there was no outreach to the community to get people that are, specifically qualified for EMS. Okay, and you can go into the details of that. Then I'll throw you the names of the people that are on this so-called task force. But you know what? You don't pick a. What they did, Shawn, is they didn't do an outreach to the community. They didn't put nothing. The city didn't put anything on their Facebook page or the city website. What happened is the council members, they picked their friends or buddies or something like that to form this 7-member panel. With the one exception member is a representative from the fire department, which was chosen to represent the fire department in this thing. But anyway, so
let me just stop you for 1 minute because I want to make sure I understand something. I know there was no outreach the way you and I understand outreach, right?
Yeah, right.
And you were told by Councilman Briggs or Biggs, both of them, because both of them did the same exact thing here, but it's Biggs.
Yeah.
He told you that they had outreach, correct?
Yeah. The outreach was they called their buddies.
Yeah. So you can see how semantics is played so that you can make it appear as though you did something of value when in fact all you did was say to each council member, go find somebody and pick them. And I say that because Chris Briggs was the president of the council. And that's what he did when he destroyed the economic development in our city because he got mad at me. And so he threw off all the people that I put on the IDA. All of them were business people, people who understood economic development, people who built multi-billion-dollar or $1 million businesses, people that worked in companies that were worth tens of millions of dollars, all very smart business related people. And he threw them all off. And you know what he said to them? Here's how we're going to pick the next bunch. Go, each one of you go pick somebody in your neighborhood. And they picked people that had no knowledge of economic development, just like they just picked people that have no knowledge of this committee that know economic development. And now you have EMS. What does that stand for? Emergency Medical Services.
Right.
Okay. Right. So when you're putting together a team to examine the emergency medical services, you would think that it is vitally important that on that committee, you don't have the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker, right? You have people that have worked in EMS, people who design EMS, people who understand logistics, people who have studied the times and responses of emergency services and put together the plans of action of how communities should house their emergency services. There's all kinds of people in this country that are educated highly in emergency services, both EMS, fire, natural disaster, et cetera, right? So we understand there's people with great expertise out there. But the butcher, baker, and candlestick maker should not be the committee to examine EMS. So let's go through the names.
Right. So basically, folks out there, if you're listening here, okay, what they really did is the councils got together and they said, okay, let's each one of you guys get to pick somebody that you want to be on the EMS task force. So starting right off the get-go, and I can't tell you which ones are in these wards. I don't know who all of these people are. I'm not saying anything bad about any of these people here. I don't know them. But, I'm just laying it on out who is on this committee. And maybe, Shawn, you know them. Maybe people out there know them.
I want to just do the same thing you've done. I want to underscore.
We're going to kick off with Ed Kinner.
Let me just say something to me. I want to underscore the fact that I do know many of these people, and I think they're wonderful people, and I care about these people.
Yeah.
But just like me, if I was to try to say that I'm going to engage and be a member of a committee that builds rockets, somebody would say, well, Shawn was a fireman. What does he know about rockets? So I'm not diminishing the value of these people and my love for these people. Yeah. I'm just simply saying, does their qualifications suit them to be on a committee that is designed to do something that they may not have any clue of how to design? So let me just get that straight.
So anyway, out of the first ward, and I know that because Ed lives in it, is Ed Kinner.
All right. So now we got Ed Kinner. Ed Kinner was going to run for mayor. I don't know what he does for a living, so I'll stand corrected on what he does for a living. I think it's MMA fighting or something.
He has something to do with the MMA fighting.
But he was going to run for mayor on the Democratic Party, didn't get enough signatures. He was going to run for mayor on the Independence Party, didn't get enough signatures. He's a good kid. He tries hard. He engages in his community. He'll be the first one to grab a broom and sweep up the sidewalks. The guy's got a lot of value and a lot of love.
He's on the charter committee too.
Right. What does he know about emergency services? I don't care if he's with MMA and he says, well, our guys get hurt and I got to make sure emergency services are there. That's not the same as looking at a committee to help you design the emergency services of a city. I like Ed, but I don't give him a check mark because I don't see the value of him sitting on that committee. There's certainly committees like recreational committees and other things that he'd have a great value to.
Yeah. Look at another person, Lee Furbeck. I don't know who he is or what ward, so I can't really.
Is it Lee or Leah?
It's Lee, L-E-A. I'm sorry, L-E-E. Lee Furbeck, so I don't know him. I do know the next one here, I believe, is in the 5th ward, Rainbow Domel.
Love Rainbow. Love the Domel family. I'd cut my arms off for them. Just great people. I don't know what.
But I think she's into healthcare.
I just don't know what her background would be in being on a committee that designs emergency services. I just don't. I don't know. I don't believe she has that background. And so therefore I won't give her a check mark. I don't think that there's certainly a lot of things that she could do and help this city for sure. But I don't know if helping create EMS is one of them.
Joe Netto again.
Well, again,
Joe.
Joe's in construction.
He's in construction, okay, but he's also what he's on the revitalization committee. I think
Yeah.
he might be on other things as well.
But
But
again,
again,
what is Joe's expertise in EMS? I guess I'm going to have to
in
stop and ask him when I'm walking down the street and I see
yeah,
him.
right,
Good
okay,
man, good man. Gives a
yep,
lot to the city. Worked for the school. But what
yep,
is his expertise in EMS?
yeah, and and someone picked him. I think he's in the
Right,
fourth
probably
ward
Chris
now, right?
Briggs. He lives
Yep,
across the street from Chris.
yeah, okay, so probably Briggs. Okay, Bob LaForest, don't know him.
Don't know what his background is, so I can't
Don't know
make
his
it.
background. Don't know. Maybe he's the Quill. Who knows? But his name appears on there. We got a Layla Pistoni, I
Yeah,
believe it
Layla
is.
lives. I think she lives down the island still. Wonderful girl, but I don't believe she has any skills in emergency services. I'll stand corrected. I'll ask her. I'm going to send her an email. You know what I really think we should do, Timmy? I think I'm going to send an email to Chris Biggs and ask him for the resume of everybody he said that had to submit resumes because he
I already
told
did
you.
that.
Okay, good. Because he told you they had to submit a resume, right?
Well, he said that he asked for resumes, and he told me he's going to ask the city clerk to give me the resumes. Okay, but of course, you got to redact
So
certain
here's the
personal
bullshit. Truth, lies,
information.
and political bullshit. The bullshit is he asked for resumes, but he never made that a requirement for people sitting on the committee because the way he said it is bullshit
There was
and
no outreach.
there's no outreach and there's no resumes. So I can't say whether she has a background or not. Maybe she does. If she doesn't have a background in EMS or outpatient care or something to do with nursing or something like that, I don't know what the value would be. If she does, then she's got a value.
I know they're meeting on June 13th, Tuesday at 6:30. So that's when they're supposed to have a meeting down at City Hall. So that's probably a good time to find out. Hey, and last, okay, with the fire department, recommended by the fire department, is a person by the name of Chris White.
Yeah, beautiful kid. Beautiful kid, great
Yep.
firefighter, and he certainly has a value because he does it every day for a living.
Well, he's EMS qualified to be in the fire
Yeah,
department too, I
yeah.
believe,
So
right?
the question is,
So,
both these
what?
committees
Yeah,
have been designed with people that are good people but really don't have the qualifications. There's no way in the world they have the qualifications, at least not in the aggregate. Maybe one or two of them on the committee have the qualifications.
yeah.
But, why ain't you looking out to guys like Otto Matson, who was a firefighter, a captain in the fire department, runs EMS training for a ambulance company? Why didn't he reach out to them? Why didn't they reach out to other people in the city?
You got Brenda Vanier.
Yeah, businesswoman. She worked on the
Right.
ambulance.
It,
Right.
yeah, she worked
You
15 years with the Empire Ambulance that was down on the corner of White and Mohawk. Okay,
And you
she's
can't
got
just
a,
have people who provided the care.
a
That
sweet,
should only
happy.
be,
Right.
that should be one tentacle, right? You need somebody who understands how to provide the care. You need somebody who understands how you design and place strategically ambulances throughout the city to understand response times. Maybe they should have went to Dr. Oshkosh or whoever the city's uh, doctor is for the fire department and asked him to sit on the committee. I think having the doctor who's got his license on the line to make sure the city's fire department is operating in the best and safest manner when it comes to EMS. Why wasn't he sitting on it? Why
Yeah.
wasn't it him? He's an independent guy. He's a doctor. You got retired firefighters that did the business. You got people that have worked in the ambulance business in the city for 25 years. None of them are on it. How come?
Right. 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 They
Because you
don't.
know why? I've always said these are nothing more than dog and pony shows.
And this is what we have
And
here.
I'm going to tell you something. I don't know what the mayor's position is. I really don't.
He didn't.
But
He didn't offer a name for this anyway.
and nor would I.
And he
Because
was
you know what?
asked.
At the
Yeah.
end of the day, he's
It's
the
up to the
mayor and he
council.
made a
Right.
decision and he's sticking with his decision. He doesn't need a committee to tell him what decision to make. Now, it's the poorest decision that it's one of the poorest decisions the city's ever made in its history.
Yeah.
Okay, it's worse than I've seen in a long time. But what do you expect? He doesn't care about the park 500 feet from his window that
Yeah.
costs $3 million. He doesn't care about the fire department because he'll drop them down to a level that makes them inefficient. He's paying $88,000 for an ambulance when he could have got one for free, and then he's telling you, well, that they wouldn't have an ambulance in the city. Why he says it's okay to have one coming from Waterford. These guys they're all over the place, Timmy.
Yeah.
Scatterbrains all
Yeah.
over the place.
Now, what I've also got information coming my way is that they're taking the Hill station that's up on Pleasant Street. They're going to be installing a new garage door opener for that door. They're going to be putting in a new system for, I guess they hook up to the exhaust pipes of the
Yeah,
ambulances, or because what they want to do is they want to base and house the ambulance service in the Hill Station.
so did
Okay,
I.
and
They probably took my idea, because my
yeah,
idea was this, right?
yeah,
What people don't understand and they confuse
hmm
is response times. They get them all
yes,
confused. Let me just make something clear before we end today's show. We have a fire department that's down to 4 or 5 guys.
yeah,
Okay. The biggest fire load in the city, and as many of us seen as blocks burned down at a time, is in the downtown. When you have 3 firehouses with 2 guys in each firehouse, just because the 2 guys can get there 2 minutes before the next truck or 3 minutes before the next truck, people think, oh, if they're not up there, we're going to have a major issue. Well, here's the problem: 2 guys can't do the job. It takes a lot of different jobs before you're even putting water on a fire. And with 2 guys getting there 2 minutes before the other engine, but taking 4 minutes or 5 minutes to get the truck hooked up and ready to put out the fire, that's 7 minutes,
yeah,
right? But if it takes me 4 minutes to get there instead of two, and then it only takes me 2 minutes to get the water on the fire because I got 4 guys doing that job, you're still ahead of the game. So having more guys on a truck is better to get to a fire, get to emergency, get all the jobs done they need to do so they can go in and rescue somebody or go and put out a fire, is done quicker, even if they're farther away,
if you have
than
the
it is if 2 guys get there and it
right,
takes them 6 minutes to get the job. So now the time is 8 minutes to get water on the fire.
right.
So
It's
people need
all
to understand, more people to get to the fire, even if it's a few minutes longer, is actually quicker in the long run for getting water on the fire and saving property and lives.
and it
So
makes sense.
so I said, put them at Central, so that the biggest fire load has the most firefighters. So when there's a fire, we're getting water on it twice as quick and maybe not seeing blocks and blocks burned down. Put the ambulance up on the hill, because the number one call on the hill is EMS.
Yeah,
And if there is a fire on the hill, and I don't say this lightly, but if there is, most of those houses are single houses that have a lot of space in between them. They're not burning down blocks at a time, right?
right.
So people on the hill need to understand that if their house catches on fire, even though 2 firemen can get there in 3 minutes, you want the other truck to get there in 4.5 minutes with more guys on it, because they'll get water on the fire quicker, because they have more people to get the truck set up, the hose hitting the hydrant, the lines pulled, the lines advanced into the fire, put it out, than they do with 2 guys who just stand there because there's not enough guys to do 5 jobs.
Right. That's true.
So
That's true.
having the hill with the ambulance, I think, is the right idea. That's what I tried to do, and they shut me down. Having the more guys at Central to respond to the place that has the greatest fire load is the best that you can do for the city in way of fire and emergency. And then having the island with its guys down there is probably the best scenario that we can have.
Well, look at Sean. I want to wrap up with this. Okay. I want to say that I'm really disappointed the way all these committees were put together, actually the two, and really more so is the EMS task force, where I believe that there was going to be an outreach in the city, find the best possible minds for this, okay, to really study this problem here and come up with a viable solution well beyond $88,000 a month, because it's unsustainable. And I think that they right off the get go, when they uh, announced that, oh, we're going to let's put out a resolution for us all to put together. I think they blew it, and they blew it right away, because they didn't do an outreach for the best minds. There's no reason Otto Matson is not on this task force to offer his expertise. It just stinks to high heaven. I'm disappointed in Adam Biggs for doing this, okay, in this way. They should have reached out to everybody, okay?
Why would you
Put it
expect
on out.
anything different? Just look at the history. Listen, they don't care about millions of dollars of upgrades in our city. They let it get ruined. please go to that park and take a look at what I'm talking about. You'll be so
Yeah,
disappointed. It's still a pretty park, but it's ruined. It ain't that
yeah,
shiny coin that it should be.
yeah.
Why would you
See,
expect them to have the best EMS committee after the fact? This is a
but
dog and pony show just to
yeah,
appease people because it's after the fact and they already have a freaking contract.
yeah.
And they've
It's
already
just
alienated themselves with other ambulances where the other ambulance had to send them cease and desist letters and say, you keep bad mouthing us, we're going to sue you.
yeah, and they did it,
The,
and it's right there in the minutes, bad mouthing them again.
Yeah, because
Okay, in
these
the
guys
May.
don't care about finding the best. It's their way or no way. Don't expect the city codes to do the right things. Just expect them to do the things that they want to do their
Well,
way. Don't
they did
expect
it. Yeah,
don't
they
expect
did.
the city anytime soon to become an all-America city, Tim, because it's going backwards, and that's a long time ago, my friend.
Yeah,
So there's a lot to be disappointed for. Today, I've been disappointed. I've been saddened. I'm sad, and some of it's my self-pity to watch the work that I did get destroyed. But more importantly, I care so much about the city and the people. They deserve to have the best of the best, and we just allowed some of the best stuff in the city to be ruined. Our EMS system, our parks, our downtown. And
yeah.
that's all I really got to say, Tim.
Well, look at the. We are the information highway. We're letting people know what's going on as best we know. We've got a lot of people there. They either don't care or they trash talk me. With bring it on, okay? Because I never attack the first responders. You people out there who think I attack let me tell you something about first responders. I worked in extremely stressful position. Be a doctor. Okay, work in an operating room. You're not the only people on out there that have stressful jobs. Okay, there's a lot of people with stressful jobs. So don't be crying on my shoulder how stressful things are for you because I've been there too. All right.
Yeah, Timmy, you're absolutely right. And I'm going to leave you with this, right? I don't care if the ambulance goes up to Lansing's Park, puts out a blanket, lays on the ground, reads their book, because the emergency services is a response team.
They're there.
They're reactive. They're not always proactive, right?
Yeah.
They're proactive in their training. They're reactive in their job. So if
Yeah.
they're laying up the park and they're in the city of Cohoes and they're being paid to live in the city of Cohoes, I don't have no problem. I have a problem when they're down in all the way as far as you can go on the island, and then all the way
Yeah.
to People's Island, and then into Waterford, and they're laying on the grass in Waterford. I don't give a shit if the delay is 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 4 minute, 5 minute. We're paying them to be here because we understood there was a problem. So the people crying on your page are a bunch of whining crybabies that belong on one of those committees that we just put together because they don't know shit.
Yep.
So let's put the I don't know shit committee together. We can get it right off your page of those people complaining and whining about you saying that these people were laying on blankets in Waterford. Because if you don't think it's a
Yeah.
problem, then you're not a taxpayer in Cohoes who's waited an hour for an ambulance. Case
Yeah.
closed. Who cares about those
Yeah.
people? Everybody has a right to voice their opinion. They have a right to whine, complain,
Yep.
and bitch. And we have a right to just defend ourselves and what we say. And we can all live happily ever after.
Yeah.
So with that
Okie
said, my
doke.
friend, yeah,
Hey,
get over yourself.
right. Yeah, that's right. Look at, I want to wrap it up. It's a good podcast here. Until the next one, we're going to try to get a little more consistent. I think we're going to try something maybe live in the future here. This is not an easy thing to do. Okay. It
Don't
takes,
whine. Jesus God, don't.
it
I don't want
takes
people to
time
think that we're
back and
whining
forth.
about hard.
Yeah, it takes time to throw this all
But
together.
it takes time.
You got a personal life, I got a personal life, and stuff like that. But the one thing that is upcoming is a Rock the Block concert with Fleetwood Mac tribute band, and I look forward to going down there and
Hey, when
relaxing
you're
and
down
see
there, check
in
out the park and see.
in the beat up park.
Hey, with that said, Timmy, they'll probably have 50 people down there tomorrow.
Yeah,
Sometimes when we do our show, they do respond. So, hey,
yeah,
everybody, God bless. Hope you have a great weekend. Timmy, it's good to see you, and we'll see you soon.
yep. You take care.
You take care now. Bye bye.